You work with a lot of people that have amassed a lot of wealth and a lot of success. And I'm curious to know if you find that there's a correlation to this perceived unhappiness, the more things you've accumulated versus not having much and being happy in the present.
I would say by and large, there is a negative correlation. In other words, the more well off you are, the more the talons of unhappiness are embedded in your flesh. Obviously, there are exceptions. There are many exceptions, but in general speaking, broadly, there. I had a guest speaker in one of my classes. He was a hedge fund operator. Many of the Forbes 400 were clients of his. And I was teaching at a top business school at the time. So obviously the conversation got around to money and, they were expressing their views. And after time, he lost his patience and said, look, I don't know why the hell you're so concerned about it. Let me tell you, I know a lot of Forbes 400. I've got some as clients and I have many others. And many of them are sick, miserable fucks. End of quote. They just happen to be sick, miserable fucks who have a lot of money, but they're sick, miserable fucks. Look around you in the world outside. Look at the many really wealthy people who have decided that they want to do something in the political or some other area. And they have revealed enough of their personality that you have a fair idea what their inner life is like. Would you really want to be them? I grant you that you want to have what they have. You want to have achieved what they have achieved. And you want what you think they have. But would you really want to be them? Ask yourself that question sincerely.
If I take this train of thought maybe a little too extreme, and I'd be curious to know what your counter argument to it, are you suggesting that we should just stop anything that we're doing, go live in a mountain,
No, you're
and
not
not
capable
have
of
any?
doing that because you live in a mountain and say, hey, what a silly thing doing in a mountain. This is not for me. You don't decide to go live in a mountain cave. When the time comes, that happens automatically and there is no decision to be made. It happens. All you do is be aware of the fact that your avaricious, grasping nature is responsible for for your problems. And you can't decide, I'm going to let go of my avaricious, grasping nature because you can't do that. That has to leave you. You cannot give up desire. Desire has to give you up. So don't kid
Ooh.
yourself by saying, oh, he's and he has nothing and he has such great peace and I'm going to go out and do myself. No. What you're then going to do is become a person who is even more unhappy because you had some chance at fame and fortune. You gave all of that up. And now you got neither that nor this, nor the peace of mind that comes from not having it. Worst of all possible worlds.
I was talking. I don't know if this is a mutual friend, but he's a man in our industry. His name is Yannick Silver. He wrote a book called Evolve Enterprise. Great gentleman as well. And I had a conversation with him, and he shared a story about how he went on this journey. He was an online marketer, and he always wanted to get the Rolls Royce and the Aston Martin. And then he got it, and he had that realization that, oh, it's not even what I thought it would be. It wasn't even worth it. And so he sold it, got rid of it, and he went back to doing some very purposeful work. And I asked him the question, do you need to go on the journey of the chase to be able to realize that it's probably not worth it? And we didn't come up with an answer. And I think based on what you're saying is if there is an itch, we need to scratch it to figure out where does this lead us to be able to figure out where do we stand. Is that how I have to process it the
If
best?
you have an itch, you do scratch it, but scratch it with awareness and find out, hey, is this what I really want? I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Every one of them will stick up their hands and will say, do you want to run $1 billion company? The point is, they don't want to run $1 billion company. They want the feeling that they will have when they're running $1 billion company. And even that isn't accurate. They don't want the feeling they'll have when they're running a $1 billion company. They want the feeling they think they will have when they're running a $1 billion company. We're getting into some deep waters down here, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way they think they'll have that feeling is by actually running a $1 billion company. So they're out there desperately doing that. So the path of awareness means they become aware of these conflicting urges within them. And as they're aware of it, they still try to grow their company to $1 billion in revenue while realizing fully well, this is not what I really want, but this is the path that my life has put me on. And until it is no longer the right path, I will continue to do it, but I will continue to do it with awareness.
I tip my hat to the, I call them tycoons, the men that are, or and women that are running $1 billion companies, because that level of responsibility, and everything that is being generated through the innovation that comes through what they're doing has a residual benefit, I think, to everyone else. And I almost sometimes feel a slight guilt that I don't think I necessarily have it in me to want to build something that's billions of dollars with thousands of employees. There's a part of me that's like, oh, that sounds a little exhausting. And as someone who's an entrepreneur, there's almost a sense of guilt that comes in saying, like, is there something wrong that I wouldn't want to make that level of impact?
We're all on individual journeys, Jason, and the very worst thing you can do is compare yourself to anybody else on any dimension. This guy tells funnier jokes. This guy is more handsome. This guy gets prettier girls. This guy is more at peace. Anywhere you look, there are people who are ahead of you on any metric that you can possibly think of. Comparing yourself to somebody else is the kiss of death. You're on a journey and you will find the path that's right for you. Nobody else can be there.